What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the show. This is Phase Fantasy Live, and I'm your host, Lonnie Z. Along with me is Jake Hansen. And this week, we are going to be recapping week 9. There was a lot that went on in week 9. Let's get it.
Welcome to Phase Fantasy Live with your host, Lonnie Z.
Hey, what's going on, Jake? How are you, man?
What's going on, Lonnie?
Hey, brother. It has been, it seems like it's been forever. You know, we've been really slammed, but we really haven't missed much. But this week 9 is just another case of the NFL's crazy. Nothing is just, in fantasy, at least in fantasy, it's been a crazy fantasy year. Let's start off with that first game over in Germany. It's the first time that we were in Germany. And so it was the inaugural German, I think Munich is where it was at. The billing, it was a great billing, right? If you're looking for two teams, high powered offenses, blah, 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 you got the Dolphins and you have the Kansas City Chiefs, Mahomes versus Tua, Mozart, Pacheco, Hill, Kelsey. You know what I'm saying? You have all those names, and it turned out to be kind of a drag ass game, bro. It wasn't. I'm not gonna say it was a horrible game, but it wasn't what we thought it would be. I think in like sporting apps like Prize Picks and FanDuel, people expected Tyreek Hill to really come out, get a couple touchdowns, maybe at least one touchdown, because he was talking a lot of stuff about how he wanted to really show the Chiefs, what they're missing. And he was only 8 for 62, 8 receptions for only 62 yards. So it looks like Andy Reid really schemed up to shut him down. And then Kelsey, man, where was Kelsey? Noah Gray, had more receiving yards than Kelsey. Noah Gray was there 3 receptions for 34 yards. I mean, what happened to Travis Kelsey? The Chiefs, they win 21-14, and they're 7-2. The Dolphins are now 6-3. But man, that game was kind of weird. I don't know what happened to Travis Kelsey. He has 3 receptions for 14 yards. Could it be? Swifty wasn't there, and so the last couple of games she hasn't been there, bro.
Yeah.
What was your take?
I thought she was there.
Was she there?
I think she was in Germany. I think she was in Germany, but not the game. I don't think she. I thought she was there, but I don't think she was at the game. I'm not sure.
Hey, that could even be worse, bro. She's in Germany, but she's not at the game. And she writes all those songs about all her exes, how she's the greatest girlfriend and they're all douchebags. That's how it is. So maybe she's just setting it up,
Yeah. Nobody scored in the fourth quarter. The fourth quarter was blank for both teams, so that was that's crazy. And yeah, slow game. Maybe because it was in Germany. Maybe the flight was just a little too long for them or what. But Miami's having a tough time with good teams, man.
They are.
And it's like they should have took advantage of that game because Mahomes don't have a lot of weapons and they're not scoring a lot of points. And that was a game for Miami because Miami's averaging 30 points a game, and the Chiefs aren't scoring 30 points lately. So I mean, they lost their chance that game big time, and there's just something going on when they play tough teams. They have a really tough time. Tua 12 fantasy points, Raheem Mostert 14, Tyreek Hill 13, Cedric Wilson 10. I mean, that was, Chiefs didn't do nothing crazy either. I mean, like Mahomes only had 16. Jerry McKinnon led the running backs with 10 points, and Rashid White's 9. It just seemed Miami lost. I mean, they lost their chance there. They really did. That was their, they have 14 points. That's crazy. And
Yeah, that's true. And then on the flip side, I think you have to give Kansas City's defense a little more credit too, right? We need to start giving them a little love because they've actually played very well. Because you said it, Mahomes doesn't have the weapons like he used to. It's just strictly Mahomes Pacheco's running hard, but nothing that's going to blow us out of the water, make us be like, wow, this is the RB1 for sure, stone cold lot. No. And when Kelsey's not getting it done, there's no one else other than Rashee Rice. And, he's still a rookie. He was 2 for 17. And he did get in the end zone, but, that's, man, it's, I think the Chiefs defense is understanding that they may have to carry this team this year until the offense gets it figured out or whatever they're going to do. I'd like to see Justin Watson get some more targets, man. He always looks good. Every time you see him out there running routes and catching the ball, he always looks good. I don't understand why they don't scheme up for him a little bit more. Screw Sky Moore. Marquez Valdez-Scantling is what we know. We know what he is. He's going to go long. He's going to catch his balls. And Kadarius Toney is just he's trash, bro. He's trash. Anyway, so yeah, that was that game. Nothing really exciting. It did not live up to the billing. Let's just put it that way, right?
No, it wasn't at all. Like I know we were doing a cast that morning, and we kept looking at the back of the TV, and it was like 7-0 at halftime, or it was in the second quarter, and then it was 14-0, and I was like, what's going on, man? Like that's
Exactly.
yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's because I don't know, maybe their flight or something was too long, but I don't know.
On to the next game, and the first game on the slate was the Vikings and the Falcons in the Mercedes Dome in Georgia. They had that dome open.
Really?
I'd never seen it open before.
Did that.
Kind of cool. Yeah.
Mhm.
Like a little circle in the head, it's kind of cool. I was really excited for Jaron Hall to get his first start, and man, he did not disappoint. When the game started, he looked really good. He looked composed. He looked like I thought I was expecting him to look. And then he goes to try and run in from like the 3 or 4 yard line. And man, he should have just went full board and dove, but he kind of slowed up at the end there and got hit, and his head hit the ground, concussed. He's out. And then here comes Josh Dobbs, fresh off the train. He didn't. Josh Dobbs says, "I don't even know these guys' names yet," But he's a rocket science man. He is scientist. He has a degree, in rockets. Whatever degree you have to get to do that. So he's a smart guy. And at first, he looked like crap. The first few plays, he fumbled and just looked bad. But then he got his composure, started running around, and man, he did a great job. He was 20 of 30 for 158 yards and 2 touchdowns. He rushed for another touchdown, 7 carries, 66 yards. I don't think too many people had them on their fantasy radar because the story was he was just going to back up Jaron Hall. So I don't think unless you were in a huge tournament and you just had one of your 150 rosters that was in a line, that could be how he got in a couple lineups, but they miss him. He had a pretty good fantasy day, and TJ Hawkinson, you and I talked about, Hawkinson would probably, if the young quarterback was in there, Hawkinson would probably be, the guy he's going to lean on a little bit more than Addison. And that seemed to be true. 7 receptions, 69 yards, nothing great, but 7 receptions. And on the flip side, man, I don't know. Arthur Smith he just blows my mind. I heard a couple of podcasts talking about he's a mad scientist. Is he a mad scientist? No, he's a freaking idiot. That's what he is. He's got this great offense, and he just is trying everything he can to make it horrible. Here's a case in point. BJ Robinson, 11 carries, 51 yards. Why only give him the ball 11 times? Why not give this kid the rock? Let him run. Give him 20 chances to see what he can do. Maybe 20, he has over 100 yards, right? 11 for 51. That's still like 4.8 yards per carry. That's not a bad average. Jonnu Smith, 5 receptions, 100 yards, and a touchdown. Arthur Smith loves Jonnu Smith because they know each other, but he's got freaking Pitts there too. So I don't know. And Taylor Heineke, he didn't do that great. 21 for 38, a touchdown and an interception. The Vikings squeak away. They scored 10 in the fourth and come away with a 31-28 victory on the road to bring themselves 4-4, man. They started off 0-3, and now they're 4-4. They just lost to the Chiefs. What was your take on that game?
Arthur Smith, he's more of an offense coordinator than a head coach. but he's not really showing anything on the offense, But he is a better offense coordinator than a head coach. If he just stayed with the offense, maybe it'd be a lot better. Um, yeah, Atlanta, they did, they had this game, but Heineke didn't do bad as a backup, 268 yards. But, well, I mean, you're running Algier 12 times and you're running Bijan 11. That's why you didn't run 20 times because they're trying to run Algier also. But Algier took a touchdown away from Bijan. But, they didn't really have no receiver with Drake out, Hodge 9 points, Algier 11, Heineke 15. Yeah, Jonnu Smith 24 fantasy points. Big, man. I thought Pitts would have a day, but, I mean, Jonnu's been consistent big time. He had a slow game, I think, last week, the week before, but, and they're taking a lot away from that win for the Vikings, too. I know they came back. Dobbs, stood up, took the chance, and just, he put him toward victory, and he did. But a lot of people are just talking about how the Falcons blew the game, how Arthur Smith's going to get fired, how they should have won the game, but they're not really giving no credit to the Vikings. I mean, they gave credit to Josh Dobbs after the game, but they're not giving credit to the Vikings for coming back and winning that game. It's more of the way how the Falcons lost it, just like I told you earlier, and that sucks for Vikings fans because they're just the Falcons defense, they're starting to bend a little bit and break. But yeah, if that roster had Dobbs in it, for some reason, why they would have Dobbs, he had 26 fantasy points, man. That's big. Madison had an all right game, 17, and Jordan Addison 10 points, and T.J. Hawkinson 13.
Yeah. Touching on Madison, what do fantasy owners do with Madison, man? I mean, really. He did have a decent game this week, and he's had a few decent games this year, but you almost have to count on him catching a touchdown because he has 16 carries, 44 yards. That's 2.8 yards a carry. That's not getting it, man. And then Cam Akers went out hurt. So we're back to Alexander Madison, at the running back. And Addison, he looked good. It looked like they schemed up for him, 5 for 52, which isn't great, But yeah, I think the Vikings still have a bunch of questions, but they've answered some questions for me. They have heart and they're not tanking. So I guess we could throw that out the window, right? And JJ, if he comes back, they'll figure their quarterback stuff out. And I still think Jaron Hall is good, man. I still think Jaron Hall is good. And I said that they're 4-4. My bad, bro. They're 5-4, and they're 4-1 on the road, which is huge. 4-1 on the road. So yeah, and then the Falcons are going in the opposite direction. They started off 2-0 this year, and now they're 4-5, and I just think they're a mess. And what they're going to do at quarterback, I don't know. You go back to Ritter now because Heineke wasn't. I think they've already said Heineke's going to start this week again. I think I saw some. I could be wrong, but I don't know, man. Wasn't the greatest game.
Smith has to
Yeah,
be fired. There's no way around it.
I agree. He needs
There's
to be
no
like
way
that
around it.
Raider coach.
Yeah.
And
I
so the
appreciate
next
you
game
saying
on the slate is Seattle and Baltimore. This game kind of surprised me, man. I expected more out of Seattle, to be honest with you. And the Ravens, I'm done with the Ravens fantasy wise. I don't know what to do with them. I did have Gus Edwards in my lineup this week since he burned me the week before, but it didn't get me a win. But he did all right. Gus did all right again. But Mitchell, where'd Mitchell come from, bro? 9 carries, 138 yards, a touchdown. You know what I'm saying, bro? It's like
Anthony Mitchell's son. That's Anthony Mitchell's son.
nice, nice. Yeah, bro. It's just
Mhm.
I don't, Andrews had a good day. Didn't get the end zone, but 9 receptions for 80 yards. The 9 receptions, that's good. And then Lamar,
Huh.
21 36, 187 yards, passing. But on the other side, man, Gino is, I think he's who we think he is. He'll have some games that it looks really good, but for the most part, he's a mid quarterback. He's mid, bro. He's just an average quarterback. And Walker Jr., Walker the third, 9 carries, 16 yards. What the heck is that all about? You know, I'm surprised I don't see Charbonnet more in this because Pete Carroll's like the hot hand guy. Well, that 9 carries for 16 yards, that ain't a hot hand. You know, I mean, we'll say it again, right? Me or you could have went out there and got 20 yards, you know,
Okay, with a bum knee.
and Smith and Jiba, he's Jackson Smith and Jiba, he's been coming around lately, getting a little more on his roll. 6 receptions, 63 yards. What the heck? Where was DK? Where was Tyler Lockett? DK, 1 reception, 50 yards, bro. I thought DK was going to have a big day. He had 1 reception, 50 yards. Tyler Lockett, 3 receptions, 32 yards. I mean, Baltimore's defense is stout. They've been quietly, you know, I think they're like the number 1 overall rated defense in the NFL right now. And that's been quiet because everyone was talking about Dallas. Everyone was talking about the 49ers. You know, we have all these teams, the Browns, and all along, man, this Baltimore defense looks pretty good. And I'll get off it right now. But 10 carries, 60 yards for Lamar. And once again, Lamar, man, just for fantasy, he's just got to have you pulling your hair out. What was your take on this game?
Yeah, I think everybody wants to be politically correct with Geno Smith, man. Like, I don't know if they want to hurt his, you know, it's like they don't want to hurt his feelings or they don't want to, because you always hear, oh, well, yeah, Geno, he hasn't done nothing this year, man. You know, the game
No.
they played Detroit, they came back and won that game, but he hasn't been a firecracker. He hasn't been doing nothing big. Like DK hasn't been doing nothing big, but getting penalties. And you know, Jackson Smith, he's been doing all right lately. But yeah, Walker, he's been just slowly just declining the last couple of weeks.
Yep.
Charbonnet, he didn't look good at all. You know, but Gino doesn't look, man. You know what I mean? It's like all the hype with him is he hasn't done really nothing crazy. You know, Gino 4 points, Walker 2. Smith Jigma 12. I mean, that was it pretty much for Seattle. You know, Seattle pretty much looked like the team that I thought they were. I didn't think they were I didn't think they were a 2-loss team, to be honest.
Like a 5-2
Yeah, I
team.
didn't think they were a 5-2 team. I mean, you know, but we'll see. I mean, they played a good team and they got smoked. You know, they got smoked. But
Yeah.
I mean, they've been playing for good football beforehand, but you know, they didn't look good last week. So Lamar Jackson, that's being really rough for me. You know, him too. His name's getting thrown around as an MVP, and that's rough. I mean, he hasn't looked like nothing. You know, I mean, Josh Allen's looked way better than him, and Josh Allen's losing. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's crazy. Lamar is not looking good at all. Like you really look at his back stats, and I mean, he for fantasy wise, that was rough. I mean, he did his dirty this week. You know.
Yeah.
And we're talking about fantasy and who this and that, and like for daily fantasy leagues, I don't think I would touch Lamar for a while. I don't think I would
Yeah.
touch him, man.
He's too hot and cold, man. And he costs so much now. He was $9,000 this week, right? I think about 9,000 in
86,
FanDuel,
86.
8,600, and we had him, and he killed us. You know.
Yeah, and he's playing the Cardinals last week or the week before, and when you thought no, he only got 11 fantasy points. So you know, Keaton Mitchell, it was a dirty time. It was a dirty D for him. You know, he did come a dirt time, but he had 23 fantasy points. John Harbaugh came out today and said, yeah, they're going to have to give him reps. They are going to have to. I mean, the guy did good. I mean, he's playing NFL. Doesn't mean if it was dirt time or not. I mean, he did good, man. You know, so yeah, they're going to have to give him some reps. Odell got his first touchdown as a Raven on his birthday.
Yeah, on his birthday, right?
On his 55th birthday. You know, Odell got his first touchdown.
Why
And then
you
Mark
doing
Andrews,
Odell like that?
and then Mark, man, boy, that boy's running worse than my grandma, homie.
Right?
And she ain't around no more either. So I'm just saying that boy looked. I mean, he looked good last game though. He did look a little. He looked quick on his feet. So, and then Mark Andrews, 17 fantasy points, and their defense 15. So, yeah, I mean that wasn't no shocker. I mean, we did think that the Ravens were going to win, but we thought Lamar was going to do a lot better. So, hopefully next week.
And I expected a little better game than what we got. You know, it was really a one-sided game, man. There wasn't much there.
I think everybody did, Lonnie, like the whole week. Like Friday morning when I was driving into work, they're talking like, "Oh, Seattle's going to shock everybody." That was the upset, was Seattle beating the Ravens. No, no, like I didn't think that. I didn't think that at all. But I thought it was going to be a good game.
Yeah, I think that this was one of the higher over under games too.
It was.
I thought it was like 47 or 44 or something that I don't have it right in front of me right
No, it
now.
was high. Yeah, no, because when we were doing the roster, yeah, they were the highest morning. They were the highest morning game.
Yeah, and they ended with 40 points, and 37 of them came from one team. So there you go, and that's what we're talking about. That this season has just been weird. It's just been weird. What you think's going to happen just isn't happening. Like Keaton Mitchell, coming out of nowhere, Lamar up and down, but winning, so I don't know. It's been a tough fantasy year. So we're trying to get you guys all as much as you can, as much information as we can get you to help you because we know, trust me, me and Jake play in multiple leagues and we play daily all the time. This is what we do. And it's been tough for us too. We'll keep rolling through it. All right. So the next game is the Arizona Cardinals and the Cleveland Browns. Now the Cleveland Browns defense showed up again, but when you're playing against a team that just traded off their quarterback, they're supposed to get their running back soon, Connor. It may be next week or this week he'll be back maybe. Kyler Murray by all reports was ready, was capable of playing, but they held him out another week and they put Tune in, the rookie Tune. They were just outmatched. Deshaun gets to start early on. We were wondering if he was going to start, and then he gets named the starter somewhere during the week, and he had a decent game, 19 to 30, 219 yards and 2 touchdowns. It's not a great game. He didn't make any turnovers. He did have 2 touchdowns. Jerome Ford, though, everyone, was all on the Jerome Ford train, 20 carries, 44 yards. And Amari, you were on Amari this weekend. You thought Amari, you said when we were picking our FanDuel team, you said since Deshaun's back, I think him and Amari got something. I think Amari. So I stood fast to that and we kept him in our lineup because like was Jake said, Amari. I said, let's go make sure we got Amari. And then, and you were right, 5 receptions, 139 yards, a touchdown. Amari had a great game. On the other side, Tune was the leading rusher, 5 carries for 28 yards. Poor guy, man. Throw him to the Lions. And then Hollywood Brown, 4 receptions, 24 yards. I don't know. They're a mess. Maybe they were tanking all along. It looks like now that they're really throwing in the towel. Even when Murray comes back, it's too late to really do anything for this team. But after seeing Caleb Williams cry in his mom's bosom on the sideline after that loss for USC, I don't know. I've been talking about, we want Caleb. Bro, after seeing that, I'd rather take Shador Sanders because I know his lineage. I know where he comes. He ain't going to be crying in his mama's bosom after a loss, bro. That was kind of disappointing to me. And that's just maybe call me old school. Maybe this is the way the world is going, but I'm not down with that, bro. I'm not down with that at all. That was my one little rant on Caleb Williams. Hey, granted, Caleb didn't do anything to lose that game. SC has no defense. They fired their defensive coordinator. And so, yeah, you're putting up 40 points a game. You expect to be talked about like we're going to win a national title, but they're not even in that conversation because they can't win scoring all those points. And I get it. He was upset, but I never seen that, bro. I've been watching football since I was like 3 years old, bro. Never in over 50 years watching football seen some shit like that. I was embarrassed for the kid. I mean, did you see it? He's like literally shaking as he's crying to his mom with his helmet on and she's all hugging him. Anyway, back to Cleveland.
I mean that happens when you win the championship, man. With crying
Right?
for joy. I mean, that was cry because disappointment. That was cry
Yeah.
because you lost. Like,
Yeah, that
come
was
on, man.
sad.
But you're right, though, man. We don't all get a trophy,
Yep.
but we all get trophies nowadays, and that's
It
some
is.
bullshit.
It is. All right, so Deshaun Watson, we already talked about him. Kareem Hunt just keeps carving it in there. Kareem Hunt's just a crafty vet, man. He's gonna get his. And he didn't have a great game, but he just dug into that Jerome Ford stuff. You know what I'm saying? What was your take on the game?
Yeah, it's what we thought. It's what I thought. Like I was on the Browns defense. I played them on DFS. They scored 23 fantasy points. I mean, you put Clayton Tune in. You knew what was going to happen. They didn't want to put Kyler in against Cleveland in Cleveland. That was going to be a rough one. Uh, man, it's just looking at their stuff. They had nobody. Marquise Brown led the whole team with 6 fantasy points. Yeah, Clayton Tune should not have been played. Should not have been on that field. He should not have been on that field. I mean, you get rid of Dobbs, he could have been your backup, but like you said, the Cardinals are not looking to win nothing. You know, so they're going to play Kyler Murray, and is he auditioning for Gannon? Because Gannon is his coach, and let's see how. Let's see if Kyler could play under his scheme and all that. It's totally different than Kingsbury's scheme. Totally different. So maybe it's audition for Gannon. Maybe it's audition for other 31 teams, right? So there's a rumor going to the Raiders. There's a rumor going to the Vikings. There's rumors going to Dallas Cowboys. There's a bunch of rumors. So he's auditioning probably for both. Of what I said. He's auditioning right now for next year. If it's for the Cardinals or if it's not, because Cardinals, they're going to get a top 3 pick with their own, because it's they're going to probably get a top 3 with their own pick, and then they're going to get another top 15 with Houston's pick. So and Houston's winning. Houston's winning 3 more games. They might be in the 20s. So, but they'll have 2 first rounders. So we'll see. And the thing is, I don't think let's say the Cardinals are first. I don't think a Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to do anything with that team. They need more. That team needs more. They don't just need like a Marvin Harrison Jr. They need more. So the game wise, yeah, Deshaun Watson came in, looked all right. Jerome Ford, he got his plays back. He had 20 attempts, 12 fantasy points. Deshaun 18. Yeah, Mark Cooper had a feeling, man. The Cardinals been giving big plays to big time receivers, and Cooper's been on fire with Watson. And he had 27 fantasy points, and then Njoku had 12, and their defense, like I said, had 23. Yeah, I like Cooper with Watson. If it's a good matchup, pick Cooper. I like Cooper.
No, I agree. The crazy thing, and we'll get off this game right now, but Trey McBride was the big waiver wire pickup a couple weeks ago, and everyone was all on Trey. That just goes to show you, man, if you don't have a quarterback, you don't have a tight end. I mean,
that was all quarterback.
Simple,
that was all quarterback right there. That was all quarterback.
Yeah.
Like this week with Kyler Murray, Trey McBride is on my roster for sure.
Yeah, he should be much better. But if they keep their situation like this and they don't run Kyler out there, I don't think Trey is going to, because he's talented. Trey McBride is talented. So just be patient with Trey. If you got him, keep him, because if Kyler comes in, he's going to be worth something for sure. And everyone could use help at the tight end position. Okay. Tampa Bay and Houston. Now, this was a game, man, that a lot of people were on CJ last week. A lot of people were on CJ, but no one saw this coming. Bro, CJ Stroud went freaking crazy. He looked cooler than the other side of the pillow. This boy was out there 30 of 42, 470 yards with 5 freaking touchdowns. And man, that clincher at the end there to Tank Dell was like he wasn't even sweating when he made that pass, bro. That was like, all. And then I thought Devin Singletary would have a decent game, but like you and I were saying before the show tonight, I think the scheme, they don't have a good running scheme in Houston right now under Miko Ryans. I just don't think they do. 13 carries, 26 yards. Pierce has struggled all year. Singletary comes in. He's struggling. Noah Brown, though, he's been back a couple of weeks, and he was the guy before, Tank Dell and Nico. No, Noah Brown was right there. And he's come back. He had a big game, man. 6 receptions, 153 yards, a touchdown. and Tank Tail had a big game. On the flip side, Baker Mayfield, 21 of 30, 265 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's not a bad game. That really isn't. Rashard White, once again, was very fantasy relative. And so now maybe we start talking about, do we need to trade for Rashard White? Because they're using him in the pass game a lot. I
Big time.
haven't been, yeah, and I haven't been high on him all year, right? I've
No.
been kind of hating on him,
Yeah.
but he's starting to show. And then, because he was 20 carries for 73 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then Mike Evans, I thought he'd have a big game. He kind of got dinged up, came back, but he was four receptions for 87 yards. Yeah, that game was back and forth, man. That was an exciting game. That game was the best game of the week right there. And I was really excited that the young kid CJ Stroud is continuing to show that he's the real deal. I mean, we may be seeing something here, bro, with CJ. We really may be seeing like the next quarterback to get his name in those elite quarterbacks' names, with Burrow and Mahomes and Allen, Josh Allen.
Yeah.
What was your take on the game?
Yeah, it was a good game, like you said. Baker, he played as well as we thought. He got 19 fantasy points. Baker's playing really consistent. He's helping that team get to the point. He scored 37 points. The Buccaneers scored 37 points. So Baker did as everything he can to win that game. He's not looking bad. He has, Rashad White's getting a lot of reception. It wasn't as big as it was this week, but as last week. Last week he had like 80 yards receiving. So, but he had 27 fantasy points. Mike Evans 12, Trey Palmer 8. Chris Godwin was nowhere to be found. 16 yards. This week was a slow week for him. That was crazy. Cade Otton, this is his first big game this year. Cade Otton had 24 fantasy points. And the Buccaneers could score points, man. I mean, I know they had a couple slow games against Detroit. They didn't really, but Baker, he's showing them something. He's showing something this year, and that's good. It's not like next year they're going to be like, oh, is it going to be Baker? He's showing something that he could be here, and he could be a starting quarterback. He's not doing bad at all. C.J. Stroud went off. I had a feeling. I didn't think it would be like this, but I just had a feeling that he was going to do something this week. And he went off 44 fantasy points. Yeah, the running back situation in Houston. I mean, just imagine if they had a running back that would get something, 75 yards, 100 yards. I mean, just think more of what that offense could do. But Singletary just kind of let us down. I thought he was going to do something too, but Tank Dell 32, Noah Brown 30, Nico Collins 14 fantasy points, and Dalton Schultz 31. I mean, you had 3 guys get over 100 yards. I mean, that's crazy, and I didn't think Tampa Bay's defense was that bad, but that's crazy. CJ Stroud's on the rise. I know he's been up and down. The first four games he was going off. Last couple games he was really low because we were looking at him. Looking at his average.
Yep,
he was low. So okay, I thought he was going to do something. Like I said, not this crazy, but yeah. I picked the Texans to win this game, but I didn't think it was going to be this close. I thought they were going to win by a couple touchdowns. I didn't think they were going to be this close. And like I said, Baker's keeping his team in it. He really is.
He is, man. And the Buccaneers have been playing well against everyone, pretty much. They're in most of their games.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you're right. I think the Buccaneers, I mean, obviously they could do an upgrade at quarterback, but Baker has not done anything to make them want to get rid of him. You scored 37 points. That's not your fault. You lost the game. Look on the defense side. They have a defensive coach, right? That old ass retread that they got over there. Todd Bowles. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Todd Bowles, man. Because all those retreaded ex defensive coordinators who get a shot are man. And Todd Bowles has had so many opportunities.
Damn, I don't. Yeah, well, no, you're right. Just old defensive retread coaches. Yeah,
yeah. Todd Bowles, man, he doesn't belong as a head coach. He should just run defenses. He'll probably be much better in that. Just like Leslie Frazier, better defensive coordinator.
Arthur Smith, like we're talking about Arthur Smith. He's a offensive coordinator,
and it's okay.
Josh McDaniels, Hey, here we go. Here we go. We're gonna
Yeah,
get into
right.
something. Let's
But it's so
let's do
yeah.
this at the end. No. But I want to do that at the end, though. Let's do
Yeah,
this at
and
the end
it's okay to
because I
be an
could go.
offensive coordinator or defense coordinator, not a head coach. It's okay, but these owners still keep doing this. But you're right. All right,
When we get to the Raider game, then I'll go.
bro, I got some stuff to say about that Raider game. I
I know, but I'm just saying, let's get to the Raider game, then
Ooh,
we'll go about
I can't
McDaniels and all
believe
that.
what I saw.
So let's
I
go.
swear did the Raiders win the Super Bowl this year? I thought they did. I think we'll get to that. I think they won the Super Bowl. You're going to hear it here on Phase Fantasy Live. The Raiders won the Super Bowl
Well, there's
Sunday.
a couple. I mean,
It-
there's a
it-
but there's a meaning for that. Though. That's what I'm saying. There's a reason.
There's no
There's a reason for
damn reason that.
No, I mean, not for like that, but there's a reason though. I mean, they had a piece of shit coach, man.
Yeah, I know.
What you
I know.
hear, what
They're just
happens, I mean,
happy to get
about
rid of that moron.
yeah,
I get
I
it.
mean, what you hear about what happened, about how it happened, and why and all that—that's bull crap, man.
Bro, you think they won the Super Bowl though? Okay.
Oh, I know.
I had
They always say they win the Super Bowl. They win. They beat the Niners, and the Niners and they could be 0-19, and they win one game, and they won the Super Bowl.
bro,
It's just
bro, I had Rafa come to me and said, "Did I miss something? Did the Raiders like win a championship or something? I saw them smoking cigars." And I was
it's because they're
like,
new. Yeah, I know. It's because they're new. It's because they got a new coach and all that, and they're well. Hey, but that right there shows how bad it was.
yeah, it was pretty
That
bad.
right there shows. You know how something happens. It's like when somebody, it's like me. I never will, or never have. But it's like when that man gets divorced from that crazy ass bitch, and he's just like, damn, he's sitting there drinking some brandy and smoking
Free
cigar
at
because
last, free at
yeah,
last.
free at last, free at last. You know what I mean? It's like, I mean, you could tell that was really bad.
Yeah,
You could tell it was really bad, and this like, I mean, I'm not a Raider. I hate. I mean, I don't hate him, but
no, you
I am
hate
not a
them,
Raider fan. But yeah, you could tell it was really bad when all their players are smiling and like, damn, this is what happened. You know what I mean?
Yep, yep. Well, let's get on to Chicago and New Orleans.
Talking about shit.
Yeah, closer game than I thought it would be.
Oh, I know.
24-17. It's like that just
Oh
goes to show
man.
me New Orleans is not real. 5-4. They're what their record says they are because their coach sucks too. Dennis Allen. I mean, bro, we can go down these teams. Eberflus on the other side. He's got to be in line for like worst coach of the year award. I mean, he's one that's right there in that conversation. So you have two horribly coached teams. I think New Orleans is a little better coached than
Mhm.
the Bears, obviously. 17-24, Derek Carr, 25 or 34 for 211 yards and two touchdowns. Taysom Hill. It's funny because we were looking at Taysom Hill, but anyway, 11 carries, 52 yards. He led them in rushing. Where the hell was Alvin Kamara? I thought Kamara would have a good week this week, and I'm just telling you, bro. Maybe anything. I think I should just think the opposite because that's how what's playing out a lot this season. Chris Olave, 6 receptions, 46 yards, and a touchdown. Darnell Mooney led the Bears with 55 receptions and 82 yards. And once again, Foreman, Devonta Foreman's showing he's the best back in that backfield because if they're not going to give Roshan a chance, and when they have, he hasn't really exploded anything. So Devonta Foreman's like, hey, just give me the rock. I'll show you what time it is. 20 for 83. That's not great, but and then Badgett, man. Badgett's just horrible. Badgett's not good. He's not. 18-30, 220, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, bro. So I don't know. Two teams that just aren't very good playing against each other. What was your take?
Yeah, Badgett 3 picks, 19 fantasy points, but yeah, nothing there at all. Nothing that we didn't think, right? But they think he's going to be the next big thing over Fields, but they are talking about Fields coming to play. I think this week maybe. So yeah, you know what though? I know you're talking about Dante Foreman. I don't get that, man. I don't get why you mean. I mean, you're running him 20 times over this rookie that showed a lot of promise. That shows a lot of
Yep.
promise, and he only runs 2 times. One, you're not
Yep.
you're not going to the playoffs. You're going to have a whole new system next year. There's no way they're keeping that coach. There's no way. I'd be shocked. I'd be really shocked. I'd be shocked if Justin Fields is even on the Bears next year. I mean, well, why aren't you playing this kid? I don't get it. You're not going nowhere, right?
Yep.
Darnell Mooney, 13 fantasy points. And Cole Kmet, I thought he would have a game, 23. He had a good game. Saints at that Carr, I was like, yeah, I mentioned Carr this week, playing the Chicago, I thought, but yeah, he just does that simple, does what he can. Taysom Hill had more points than him, more on the rushing side, of course. He had 20. Derek Carr at 16. Kamara, yeah, man, he was worth a lot of money this week and picked him on roster, and that was a waste. I don't know what happened. I mean, you're playing not a great defense at all either, Bears have not. They've been giving up a lot of big plays. Come on.
9 carries.
Kamara, yeah, Kamara, but there's nowhere to be found. That's crazy. Olave, he did 16 fantasy points, and Jawan Johnson 13. Yeah, I was just really surprised about Carr not looking as good as I thought he would, and Kamara was big. That was a letdown.
He was 9,000 on
he was like
FanDuel.
9,000. That's crazy.
Yeah, man. You're right.
Games like that, man, you don't even want to talk about it. Like games like that make you sick. It's like,
and where was DJ Moore? Ever since this kid has come in, DJ Moore has just disappeared, bro. DJ and Fields had started to get a little chemistry going, and DJ, I was, because I'm not a big DJ Moore guy, and I was like, well, maybe DJ Moore. Well, I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, on to the next game. The Rams and the Green Bay Packers. Shout out to my boy Mike. Mike's team, because he's from Wisconsin, our buddy Mike. Jordan Love kind of looked okay, 20 for 26. They didn't ask him to do much, but he did it well. 20 for 26, 228 yards and a touchdown. He didn't turn the ball over. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for someone to come in, manage the game. We both thought that Aaron Jones should have a bigger role in this game, and he did. 20 carries, 73 yards and a touchdown. Hey, man, when Aaron Jones is going on this team, they can do something offensively. They need Aaron Jones, because we saw what happened when they were without him, and we see what's happening when they're with him. Aaron Jones is still good. For all these people who don't think he's good, no, he's still good. And I thought Musgrave was going to have a good game, and he did. He had a decent game, only 3 receptions for 51 yards, but he had a touchdown, and that's, Love, leaned on him. They don't really have receivers right now. Christian Watson has not done anything this year so far. He's been kind of banged up. Romeo Doubs has been their number 1 guy. And so, it's only obvious that when you're struggling like that, get your running game going and have your young quarterback get the ball to the tight end. On the other side, the Rams, they start off good this season, but now Stafford is hurt. They had Brett Rippon in there. He looked bad. 13 for 28, 130 yards and an interception. Royce Freeman led their backfield because their backfield's all banged up, and 12 carries, 32 yards. But that's what you expect from Royce Freeman. When's the last time we talked about fantasy and Royce Freeman? 4 years ago? I mean, when he was with Denver, you know what I'm saying, bro? And then Cooper Kupp, man, he still led their team in receiving yards, 2 receptions for 48 yards. And if you're a fantasy owner and you have Cooper Kupp, they just signed Carson Wentz. So that could help some. Really, it's an upgrade on Rippon for sure. But man, if you're thinking Cooper Kupp was going to help you with that final stretch after he came back from his IR and all that, and he had those first couple of games, he looked good. But his last couple of games, man, he looked really, mediocre. Not him, but just his fantasy points has been way down because of the quarterback play. Darrell Henderson Jr., everyone was thinking that he was going to be the guy running the ball, and that just wasn't the case. He did have 10 carries, but he only had 19 yards. He came off the couch to join the team, pretty much. And on the other side, like we said, Aaron Jones, if he stays healthy, he's the guy. You got to give him the rock, and you can give him the ball 20 times and give AJ the ball 9 times. That's how they're set up the best. When they're kind of like at that kind of mix, that's when the Packers really look good. They were able to control the tempo of the game, control the clock. They looked, good as they should against the Rams, because the Rams aren't a great team. I do want to look at their receivers real quick. Christian Watson, 1 reception, 37 yards. He only had 2 targets. Romeo Dobbs, 3 receptions on 3 targets, 36 yards. Who are they going to throw the ball to? It looks like Dante Vion Wicks. Dante Vion. I don't know how it's pronounced that. Yeah. Yeah. 4 receptions, 49 yards, 4 targets. They have a problem in Green Bay, though, in that receiving core. What's your take on this game, bro?
Yeah, this game was a little more one-sided than I thought. I thought it was going to be a better game. With Rippin, I know we were talking about Cup and, oh, yeah, let's take Cup. And, they're going to have to, Rippin's going to have to find somebody to be comfortable with. That didn't happen. Darrell Henderson, the last 2 games before this one, he didn't do too bad.
Nope.
And I thought he was going to do a little bit against Green Bay. They're not a top run defense. So, Rippin must have just stunk it up bad because he's not even on this stat thing. It shows everybody else, but not him. So, yeah, I was surprised they signed Wentz because I think they said Stafford has a chance to play. I don't know if they're playing this week. I think there's a bye. No, they have a bye this week. So Wentz will probably be there for a couple weeks. Cup and all that. You really look at it, and they didn't have they're a quarterback that they're used to. But one player that you would think that he would be that the quarterback would get comfortable with would be the tight end. And Higbee's been nowhere to be found for the last 4 weeks. If he's on your team, drop him. I honestly, that's hard for me. I actually dropped him. I dropped him this week. I had him put him on waivers.
He had 1 target, bro.
He is
1
not doing
target
nothing since Cup came back, and that's a shock because last year he was doing really good with Cup. Green Bay, Love, he knows Love looked all right. Nothing too crazy. He didn't have to do too crazy, go crazy. Aaron Jones, he's there right now. He's back. Yeah, like you said, when he's back, when he's in, like I always say, like Aaron Jones makes that team move. If he's not on there, because he catches in the backfield and all that, but he has his issues with his soft tissue injuries and stuff. But he had 18 fantasy points. Dante Vion, Wicks, 7 points. Reed, yeah, they got to pick one. Love has to get in a good rapport with one of those receivers. He just has to pick one and just go with it. At first you thought it was Reed, and then Dobbs had a good game, and then Watson's never really had a good game yet at all. Since he's been back from his injury, he hasn't had a big game. Musgrove,
He's almost droppable,
yeah,
huh?
He is droppable.
You just keep him. You keep him because you expect the big game to come, but he's droppable.
But he is droppable. He honestly is droppable. And Luke Musgrave's the only one that's there every week. He's the one there, so he got 14 fantasy points. Yeah, Green Bay had a good game. They had a good game. They won that game. I thought it was gonna be a lot closer. But once I found out that Stafford, because I do a pick 'em every week. Once I found out, I had the Rams, and once I found out that Stafford was out, I switched it right to Green Bay, and good thing I did. But
right,
yeah, that Rippin did not look ready at all.
No, not at all. Yep. And the Packers are 3-5, and I don't think they're not a playoff team right now. They have a lot to work out, but it was good to see Love manage the game well like that, and for them to get the win. Okay, Washington and New England, bro. I don't know the last time and I've probably said this a couple times about the Patriots, but now I'm gonna say I don't remember the last time I saw a stat line where the Patriots were 2-7, and at home they were 1-4. They were usually really nails at home, bro. Like that, they had a real home field advantage. They're 1-4 at home, 2-7. I think Belichick has lost the room. You know, Mac Jones, 24-44, 220 yards, a touchdown, and interception. Ramondre Street. Look, this stat line for Ramondre Stevenson looks good. 9 for 87 and a touchdown. But bro, he had a 60-something yard run. So you take away that run, and
But he's still only getting under 10
that's
carries,
the
man.
next thing I was gonna say. You give him 9 carries only. This is a workhorse. He's got a body of a workhorse. You gotta give him the rock 20 times and let him roll with it. And then Douglas, there was a lot about Douglas, and he was the waiver wire guy, and 5 receptions, 55 yards. That's 11 a catch. No touchdowns, but like we've said all year, right? You can't trust any receiver coming out of New England. You just can't. You just can't. And then Sam Howell. Sam Howell's numbers are not bad numbers, bro. They haven't been bad all year. 29 to 45, 325 yards, a touchdown, and interception. That's a good fantasy day. That's putting up a decent fantasy day. Brian Robinson, once again, 18 carries, 63 yards, but got in the end zone. So his fantasy day was saved by that touchdown. But he's always getting the carries. We look up all the time and he's got 50, 60 yards, but 20 carries, 18 carries, And McLaurin's starting to heat up a little bit. 5 receptions, 73 yards. Washington goes in on the road. They save their coach's job, for another week. He lives to fight another week.
Yeah.
And they get out of it with the victory. But New England, man, I think the story here is New England just signed Belichick to an extension. Now, sometimes teams do this, and then they'll fire him next year or whatever. But I don't know. I don't know what Belichick is doing. Maybe he just can't surround himself with good coaches anymore because he really is not doing a good job right now. What was your take on the game?
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I thought I thought this was what it was. Honestly, Commanders, Patriots. I think when you look at that, you're like, okay. In New England, it's going to be. I picked the Commanders to win on my pick 'em. But just Mac Jones just doesn't, 24-44. Holy crap. 20 incompletions, man. Like, whoa, what are you doing? Where are you going? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, what is going on? And if I'm Belichick, do you really want to keep coaching though? It's like you just look at him. He doesn't even look like he wants to be there, man. Honestly, he doesn't even look like he wants to be there. And you have Ramondre Stevenson. Like you said, he's a workhorse. 9 carries, and only 4 receiving.
Bro, their whole team had 19 carries.
Yeah.
Like Mac Jones is really out there throwing the ball 44 times. I didn't mean to break in on you, but
no, 44 times and 20 incompletions. 20. 50 completion rate. 50% completion rate. Yeah, that's awesome. Your QBR looking like crap. You got Juju and you got Demario Douglas. Demario Douglas did all right. I mean, for a guy that was $4,000 for DraftKings, he got you 10 points. He doubled his price or doubled in half, but I mean, he did all right. But it shows going forward that he could be a guy. Hunter Henry did get 13 points. Yeah, the Commander side, man, Sam Howell. I think one day we're gonna have to pick him. I think we're gonna have to look at the match. No, I mean, I'm being honest. Like looking at a matchup,
right.
looking at a matchup because we mentioned his name probably 3-4 times on Sunday.
We have,
and he scored 11 more points than Lamar Jackson, and he
was way cheaper,
$2,000 cheaper than Lamar Jackson.
Yeah,
so it's like just one time we've got to do it. Just run with him. Just look at the matchup and just go with it, man.
And Dotson's starting to heat up.
Dotson's heating up. Brian Robinson's doing his same teeter-totter and shit. Dotson 16 fantasy points. He's been really consistent the last 3 weeks, and especially with Samuel out. McLaurin, he's there. He just didn't score a touchdown. Logan Thomas, he quieted up a lot. But go back into Sam Howell. I mean, I really think the next time that a look on a matchup base, but he's been really consistent, and he's a guy that's finding a way to score points.
Yeah,
and if we pick him and he shits the bed, then he shits the bed. But he's been really. I mean, because I remember you were looking at me, you go, man, look, 20 points or 20, 19, 40 against fucking Philly.
Yeah.
I think we get, one time you just got to do it.
And we've had a lot of bed shitters this year, haven't we? Big name, big money bed shitters, right?
And I'd rather have a
So,
big shitter on a low price than a big price.
right? Because then you still have a fighting chance with the rest of your
Exactly.
roster. You're
Exactly.
absolutely right. Indianapolis and Carolina. Yeah, the Panthers 1-7, 27-13. That was the score. Indianapolis got the win there. They're 4-5, 3-1 on the road, which is, whenever you're good on the road, there's some hope for you because you figure you're gonna those home games are gonna come around. So when you're winning on the road, there's always some hope. Indianapolis is a real interesting team. I mean, the hype started with Richardson this year, and then he gets hurt. Then here comes Minshew, which was, I think, a great pickup in the offseason for them to get him to back up Richardson. They probably got him thinking he'd be competing for the starting job, but then Richardson, and he's come out and he's done a very good job. His numbers aren't gaudy. 17 for 26, 127 yards, and only one touchdown. And then he had Jonathan Taylor starting to heat up a little bit. His yards aren't great, though. 18 for 47. I would have thought he had a bigger game. He should have had a bigger game against this team.
Yeah, one of the worst rushing defenses in the league.
Exactly. He should have had a bigger game with 18 carries. I would expect him to have at least 100 yards. So I don't know what that tells me about Jonathan Taylor. I don't put too much stock in it because you can have a bad game. I still think Taylor's Taylor. He's still getting his football acumen back for this year since he sat out the first 4 games. And then we've been talking about Pittman all year. 8 receptions for 64 yards. If you're looking for a volume receiver that's going to get you a certain about 12 to 17 points a game, and he can get you 25 on occasion, Pittman's a good value, for that. On the other side, man, Bryce Young, he looks overwhelmed. It looks like they shoved him in that role a little too early for his career. It would have been nice for the kid to sit out a year, watch somebody and learn, and then come out next year, but it is what it is. 24 for 39, 173 yards, a touchdown. That all sounds okay, but then the 3 picks is what kind of gets you. That's where you kind of know this guy isn't reading things very well because he has a lot of picks this year. Chuba Hubbard has kind of taken over that backfield, but that doesn't surprise you or me because we've said Miles Sanders is trash all year. I mean, Miles Sanders has been trash for the last 3 seasons. I don't know what this fantasy hype, why people love Miles Sanders. He's not that good. And then Hayden Hurst, 2 receptions, 54 yards, finally got something going, but he's been a bust this year too. We were really high on Hayden Hurst. Josh Downs had only one catch for 10 yards in this game. He got hurt early. Okay, yeah, I missed that. Early. Okay, so that explains that. And Zach Moss still got 7 carries for 26 yards. He had a better average per carry than Jonathan Taylor, but I don't think that's a big deal, to be honest. They're trying to make it a big deal. Jonathan Taylor just got the bag, bro. They're gonna run him more than they run Zach Moss, and he's gonna be okay. All these hot topics. They're trying to really make this a competition, but it's not. Zach Moss has his role. He'll probably get the ball anywhere from 5 to 10 times a game. And Taylor's going to get the rest of the rest. What was your take on this game, bro?
Panthers are really bad. Adam Thielen came back to earth this week. Doesn't mean he's going to be like next week. I think Frank Reich is just should not have been the coach of this team.
He's an idiot.
Frank Reich. There was some talk this morning on some shows this morning, and that Frank Reich's probably fired.
He should be.
The thing is, I mean, you pick a first-round quarterback, you're always going to lose. Look at Peyton Manning. He was 1-16, 1-15.
Yep.
And they kept the coach, right? Wasn't Tony Dungy, right?
Yep.
So they didn't fire him. But Frank Reich, that team was awful, though.
But Tony Dungy and Frank Reich are...
No, I know. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Peyton Manning started off at 1-15, 1-16. So but the Panthers is awful. I mean, their defense is not bad. Like I thought the Colts were going to do a lot better on the running end. The Panthers have the worst running defense in the league. Taylor and Moss didn't do shit. They didn't do nothing. Bryce Young had 12 fantasy points, Chuba Hubbard 10, DJ Chark 8, Hurst 7. On the other side, Minshew, I thought he would have did a lot better. 9 fantasy points. Jonathan Taylor 17. He had a reception TD. Michael Pittman 14. But I thought the Colts were going to score a little more, but it was one of those games that just like, oh, okay. I forgot this game was on, Nothing was going on. There was nothing. I know everybody had Taylor in. We had, Taylor and Pittman Jr. for fantasy wise, but they didn't really do nothing. I thought it would have been a better fantasy day, but it wasn't really a great fantasy day on that game.
No, it wasn't. If you had the Colts defense, it was pretty nice, and their scoring came from Kenny Moore the second. This guy had 2 touchdowns on defense, 2 pick sixes, and that's 14 points there. So you're right. Minshew didn't look great. Their offense didn't look good, but their defense stepped up. And Kenny Moore the second, he was part of their offense. Really, when you think about it, and that goes with those 3 interceptions from Bryce Young. Is pretty unfortunate. Okay, let's get into this game. Vegas and the Giants. These 2 teams are not good. I think Vegas is going to get better, though, bro. To be honest, Antonio Pierce he was a madman running around linebacker for the Giants. Madman. He knows football. And remember when we talked about him last night? We didn't do the cast, but we were talking about him, and I was like, "Hey, this guy, he can get him fired up. This guy could get." And he's got that Raider team believing, bro. Especially that defense. He's got them fired up. Now the Giants are trash. I'm gonna call. I mean, unfortunately, we all saw Brown. Daniel Jones go down, and he's out now for the year. You got DeVito, though, man. I don't know what they're going to do. DeVito's can't get it done. 15 to 20, 175 yards, a touchdown, 2 interceptions. He just doesn't look like he's comfortable running the offense yet. They're going to really have to lean on Saquon, 16 for 90, and they're going to have to keep feeding him the rock. But they don't have no receivers. Waller's out. Darius Slayton, he's coming back from the grave. He's their guy now. Everyone's talking about Wan'Dale Robinson and all this and that. And what happened to, what happened to Isaiah Hodgins? He had some glimpses last year where he looked like he could be a player, and nothing. 0, 0, 0, straight across, 1 target, zeros. And then on the other side, we've been talking about, I've been liking Aiden O'Connell, and we've been talking about Aiden O'Connell. You've been hating on Garoppolo. I've been liking O'Connell. So we get together, we're like, there needs to be something done in that quarterback, right? For Vegas. 16 to 25, 209 yards. Nothing great. No touchdowns, no interceptions. Nothing great. But he's not missing a wide open, Devontae Adams twice and all this and that. He played good enough to get him the win. The Raiders defense looked good. Josh Jacobs again, bro. They're just going to run him until he just can't run anymore. 26 carries, 98 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had a big game. The 98 yards on 26 carries isn't big. It's 3.8 yards a carry, but they're going to just keep feeding him the rock, kind of like we talked about earlier. And I'm just kind of wondering, well, O'Connell's there, but man, Devontae, he was happy. He seemed to be in a better mood, after this game. 4 for 34, nothing big there. Trey Tucker, he had 2 receptions for 52 yards. You can't count on that. Jacoby Myers, 2 for 38. But the Raiders get the win. And my whole thing, they win 30-6. First of all, And I know you're going to rebut because you're going to tell me why all this is happening. I get it, but I just got to talk a little shit. They beat a 2-7 team, 2-6 team at the time. The Giants are trash. They're the armpit of the NFC East. That's who the Giants are, bro. And the Raiders beat them, and they're smoking cigars and fucking. They're acting like they won a Super Bowl after the game. Max Crosby, they're all smoking cigars, and they got their music, they're dancing. Dude, you're 4-5, Raiders. I don't give a damn if you got rid of Satan, if that's who you thought your coach was, or whatever the hell it was. You're still 4-5. You just became 4-5. You were 3-5 coming in that game. Don't act like you just won the damn Super Bowl. Act like you've been there before. I don't give a damn. I don't care what their excuse is for celebrating like they just won the Super Bowl. But like I said, I had a guy come up to me today talking about, did I miss something? The Raiders, they were all, and this guy, he doesn't know a ton about football. But he's like, did the Raiders win a championship or something? Because they're smoking cigars in the locker room after the game. I thought it was mid, man. I thought it was really amateur. I thought it was weak. And I thought it was Raiders. Yeah, 100% Raiders. Raider Nation. Yeah. You won your Super Bowl. You beat the Giants. That was your Super Bowl. Congratulations. Yeah. Wait, the rest of the season's still coming. I like Antonio Pierce. I do. But he ain't going to get him into the playoffs. Sorry. Sorry about that. Anyway, what's your take?
Giants are in trouble. Tyrod Taylor's out. Daniel Jones, that was a scary injury. I mean, that sucks. For that guy, that's probably that's probably the last time he's a starter for that team. He's not going to be a starter for that team again. He's out for the whole year, and they're going to have a top 5 pick. And yeah, he is not going to be there. There's no way. Saquon Barkley, he could only do so much. 14 fantasy points. Wan'Dale Robinson led the receivers with 13. Daniel Bellinger tight end 7. Waller's out. That whole team is a mess. That whole team is a mess, man. Like Dable, I don't think they should fire him after that. He did take him to the playoffs last year, but they need to figure something out, though. They need to just change that whole offense up. Something needs to change. The whole team. Aiden O'Connell, only 8 fantasy points, 209 yards. They made that decision. Once they fired McDaniels, you knew something was up in that locker room. Ziegler, the GM, just the whole New England way. It's like they were trying to change something, trying to be like that. If you look, there is no New England coach right now that coach with Belichick that is doing anything. They're all garbage. Judge and Patricia, shit. Vrabel's the only one, but Vrabel was a player's coach. He was a player. He wasn't a coach on that New England team. He was a player's coach. And Vrabel is the only one that is showing something. But everybody else, I mean, you're trying to bring the New England way on a team, and it's a shit show, man. Straight crap. Like I get, yeah, you celebrate like that and you're smoking cigars. I think it's more of a celebration of life. You know what I mean? They were celebrating their life back. Honestly. Like you had guys going to the owner 2 weeks ago saying, hey, something's got to fucking change or I'm out. Like you had the best players on the team saying, something's got to change or I'm gone. I'll sit the whole season. I'm not, this is not working. This is not, and nobody wanted Jimmy G to start. Nobody wanted him on the team. When they found out Jimmy G, you could tell it's like Devontae Adams. He came for Carr, and Carr ain't that much better than Jimmy G. I don't give a crap what anybody says, but
No.
Jimmy G's trash.
No.
Everybody wants to say, "Oh, he won the shit for the Niners." He never won nothing. The Niners won the games. Jimmy G lost games. He never won games. He was a Trent Dilfer, and but no, I think that was more of a celebration of life. Yeah, you're acting, that's a little too much. But hey, man, Antonio Pierce wants to bring some life in because you had some prick just run the team down the drain. You can't coach shit. You know what I mean? Like that report this past weekend about the team just having a big meeting and just chewing, McDaniels out and talking, hey, this is what's going on wrong. This was need to be fixed and that. And then Josh McDaniels can't even speak for himself. he tells Antonio Pierce to come up. Okay, speak for what they just said. Speak about me. Who the fuck are you? Like, Antonio Pierce talks about, hey, man, we're down. We got to go. We got to do this. We got to do that. That's how the Giants were. And then he gets all mad. Oh, you don't talk about the Patriots that way. Well, he was fired 2 days later. Gone. You know what I mean? It's like poison, man. It's like once you have poison, you got to stomp on it. It's poison. So I think it was more like a celebration of, oh, man, now we can breathe and all that. But, yeah, they got a little out of hand. They do that with every game they win. Every time they beat an 0-something team, they get happy. Jacoby Myers, he was a little down with the new quarterback, 13 fantasy points. Devontae down, but Devontae came out and said, "Hey, man, this is not about me. This is about the team, and I'm happy." About 3 weeks ago, he was talking about me. This week, he was talking about the team. So that's good for them. And I don't see him making the playoffs or anything. They're in a tough division, especially the Chargers are looking pretty good lately, the past couple of games. But hey, man, if they win some games, maybe Pierce keeps that job.
Yeah. No, I agree. On to the next. We've had enough of the Raiders for one show and the Raider Nation. Now, this game, man, Cowboys, Eagles. It was supposed to be a good game, and it was. It was. Ever since the Cowboys lost to the 49ers, and then they didn't play too good, then they beat up a couple, weak teams. I've been waiting to see what they're going to do against a good team again, because we called them bullies. We said they were pretenders. I mean, we were hard on the Cowboys, very hard on the Cowboys. And our boy Tony, diehard. Hey, Tony, shout out to my boy Tony, diehard Cowboy fan, and Tony's got to be okay. I mean, I know he's not happy that they lost, but they played good, man. Dak, you got to be excited about what you're seeing out of Dak the last couple of weeks. You really do. Whether you're a Dak lover, Dak hater, Dak's been playing some good ball, and it looks like they're finally getting some continuity. Him and CeeDee Lamb. Dak was 29-44, 374 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. He looked good. He did everything he could to get that win. Tony Pollard, 12 carries, 51 yards. There's your problem right there. And we'll get on him in a second. And then CeeDee Lamb has really looked good lately. He's looked like the wide receiver one that we thought we thought CeeDee was very talented. 11 receptions, 191 yards, bro. He didn't get a touchdown, but 11 for 191. Woo! And it goes to show you again, Philadelphia's pass defense is trash. They're bad. They're 8-1. Philadelphia is 8-1, 17-23, 207 yards for Jalen Hurts with 2 touchdowns, a tush push. He gets one of those every game. Swift, not even better than Pollard. 18 carries for only 43 yards. He's come down since that Viking game where he ran for 200 yards or whatever he ran for, 180 something yards. But man, AJ Brown is not to be trifled with. He's like the cream right now of the NFL. 7 receptions, 66 yards, another touchdown. And that's a down game for that guy, right? 7 for 66 and a touchdown. Devonta Smith, 3 receptions, 51 yards. We're still waiting for him to get going. Dallas Goedert, 3 for 50. Smith did get in the end zone, but the Cowboys looked good. Their defense couldn't stop Philly enough. But I thought that they finally played a good team well. That's what I thought. That's what I got out of this game. Dallas finally, and they're interdivisional, so they play each other twice a year, so they know each other. So maybe this isn't a good gauge, but they finally didn't play and just get destroyed by a better team, like we've seen all year. That's why we called them bullies, kind of like the 49ers, but I'm not going to get into the 49ers because we missed them last week after they lost, 3 games in a row or whatever. 3 games in a row. I'm not going to get into that, though. That's for you, Tony. I told you I'd get on the Niners a little bit, and I did. I jabbed Jake the Snake just a little bit. and he'll probably get me back. But for right now, the Vikings, they've won like 3 in a row, so I could talk a little bit of shit. But anyway, let's get back to this game. Philly, um, they've been just doing enough to win, bro. They're 8-1. I don't know if I'm going to say they're the cream of the NFC, right? I mean, I still think the Niners could beat them on any given Sunday. I think after watching this game, you go to Dallas, Dallas might win this game, the next time. Hell, I think, the Vikings could get in there and mix it up with them because the Vikings barely lost to them earlier in the year. So I don't think Philly, like we said, they hadn't figured it out, but they're starting to figure it out and they're still just barely winning. What was your take on this game?
It was a tough game, man. Tough. It was just a tough game. It was a good game. Philly was giving that game to Dallas. They fumbled 3 times. They got it back 3 times. It's like it was just they were giving Dallas that chance every time. I don't know. Dallas has a hard time when they play a tough game. They just can't get that win. I don't know what it is. Dak had a great game, 31 fantasy points. Just right at the end, Dak couldn't do it. He just couldn't get in. Tony Pollard just is really bad. Really bad. Really, I mean, I can't even say that he's a good, he's just really bad.
Second round pick, bro.
He's really bad. We're talking bad about, like I'm looking at these stats, and that's a Rashad White stat. That's an Alexander Madison stat.
Right?
That is a Ramondre Stevenson stat. I can go down the line, man. And
Yep.
it's like Tony Pollard ain't nothing. I mean, if you put those guys on this team, would it be the same? Would it be different? He's not doing nothing better than anybody else. A Javonte Williams, he's not at all. I mean, honestly, he's not doing anything better than those guys. And I mean, he's just a top 20 running back right now. He ain't a top 10 running back. He's a top 20. I think we want to talk about, like, everybody wants to talk about him like he's a top 10 running back because what he was last year. He's not a top 10 running back right now at all. I'm not going to sit here and badmouth Dallas. It was a tough game. CeeDee Lamb, 32 points, 13. I mean, there's nothing bad to talk about Dallas. They just have a hard time when it gets down to the grind, man. They just been like that. They just have a tough time to just get that win, And is that coaching? Maybe. There were some coaching problems at the end of the game. Jake Ferguson, 22 points. The Eagles didn't do nothing spectacular. Jalen Hurts, 25 fantasy points. Swift, yeah, he's back to earth, like you said, 9. A.J. Brown went off, 19 points. Devontae Smith, 14. Dallas Goedert, he broke his forearm. He's out. He's out for a while.
Man,
and he was going good, too.
Tough.
He had 50 receiving yards, man, before he got hurt. He was going good. But, yeah, man, I mean, I don't know. It was a tough game. Dallas they just couldn't get it. There's nothing bad to say about them.
Yeah.
Couldn't bad.
Yeah.
It's all right, Tony. I know you want, maybe it's all good, man. Dallas, they're almost there, but
they're almost there. Almost there.
I mean, you did get smoked by 30 against the Niners, so I mean, there's still nothing to say though. So you guys could talk all you want to me. That's all right, but you still got smoked by 30.
That's true.
So
that is true.
But the thing is, it was a good game. You guys had your chance. Like I said, 3 fumbles, and it all went Philly's way, and that's how it's been with the Philly.
Yeah.
Philadelphia it's everything's falling their way, man. Honestly, I mean, they're
Figures
not
out
really
a way to
dominating.
win,
I mean, they dominated a couple games, but they dominated Miami.
Even in Washington, even against Washington, they had tight games and big scoring games.
Yeah, they could have lost both games to
game.
Washington. They could have lost both games to Washington. So, hey, it was a good game, man. The Cowboys, you guys played good. It went Philly's way.
Yeah, let's circle back to Tony Pollard though, real quick. From a fantasy perspective, what are we going to do with Tony Pollard, bro? You can't sell him high because no one's buying. You could try and package him and make it like, hey, he's due and he'll give you a playoff run. But if you're a Tony Pollard owner like me, every week, bro, I'm scratching my damn because I can't take him out of my line.
I asked you
because he's Tony Pollard, right? I know
3 weeks ago, and that's over with, homie. That is over with. And it's you, and hey, everybody else held on him to him too. But he ain't. He
Aren't you
ain't a
glad
top.
you didn't take that? I didn't take that
Yeah, I'm
trade.
glad. He's not a. He is not a
Yeah,
starting running back.
right now he's not.
He's not a bell cow.
He no, he's definitely not. And the way maybe it's the way they're using him. 12 carries. He's got to get more opportunity than that. I think if you have Tony Pollard, but people have said that Mike McCarthy, he's like a running back killer. That's what people are saying. His offensive just kill running backs. And man, I mean, maybe there's some truth to that. But CeeDee Lamb, man, he's going to help you on your playoff run. If him and Dak stay this way, I picked Dak up off the waivers because my quarterback was hurt, and I'm glad I did. Dak off the waivers. I'll take
Jake
Dak. Ferguson, man, has really become a kind of a reliable tight end. We were on him all year. We thought that he would be okay, and he really has been. But yeah, a tough loss for the Dallas Cowboys. They didn't look bad though on the road. They looked very, very, competitive. The Sunday night game, I was pissed because it cost me some prize picks money. Diggs missing his yards by 3 yards and them not even passing to him at all until the very last touchdown that he got. They didn't even dump it off to him that whole last drive, bro. But anyway, that's only my personal issues.
I know.
And then we'll get into Brees Hall in the next game on the Monday night game. He did the same damn thing to me. So anyway, Josh Allen, 26 for 38, 258 yards. Not great, gaudy Josh Allen numbers. 1 touchdown, 1 interception, but he played well enough to keep his team in it. Um, here's the thing, though. Buffalo doesn't know how to run the ball. We've seen this for years, right? They never have a great running back numbers for fantasy. You may have thought that Cook was going to, start coming around a little bit, but they just said, nope, that ain't going to happen. Josh Allen, 8 carries, 44 yards, led the team in rushing. And Stephon Diggs, 6 receptions, 86 yards. I need 89, Stephon. I need 89 and a touchdown. That pissed me off. I thought T would have a big game, and he did. It was his week. 8 receptions, 110 yards. I mean, Chase had been killing it, so I figured T's got to get involved this week, and he really did. Excellent game. Just didn't get a touchdown, but had a great game. Joe Mixon found the end zone. And is Joe Mixon becoming like touchdown dependent these days? Because 14 for 37 is not a good line. And yeah, that Bills defense can be tough, against running backs. But then, man, the dude that's really the guy here is Joe. Joe Cool. Joe Burrow. That boy's bad, bro. He's healthy now. He's feeling healthy. He's feeling himself. 31 to 44, 348 yards, 2 touchdowns, just doing his thing. And Cincinnati, when Joe Burrow's rolling, hey, that team is gonna be tough to beat. So they come away at the win, 18-24 on a very entertaining Sunday night game. It was a good game. I watched the whole game. It was, we finally had us a good Sunday night game, right? Because all these games they're putting out on primetime have been shit shows. And so we finally had a good one. What was your take on the game, bro?
Hey, it was the game that we. I mean to be honest, the Bengals dominated that game. I mean, they were ahead pretty much all game. They dominated. I thought it was gonna be a little closer. Yeah, like you said, they wanted to get Diggs in the game and at the last drive, at the last. So sorry, Donnie, I tried to rub it in, but it's true though, man. It took a while. Why don't you get Diggs in the beginning? Anyway, Josh Allen didn't have too bad of a game. 25 fantasy points. James Cook started off this year, the first 3 games, he was going good because I remember you were high on James Cook, and
Yep.
you were like, look, he's rolling, and then all of a sudden just halted. Uh, they did, Latavius Murray didn't really have a great game. They did sign Leonard Fournette, and let's see when he's ready. Let's see how the offense goes. Diggs did have 22 fantasy points. Kincaid, he had 10 receptions. He had 17 fantasy points. They're finally using him. Yeah, Joe Burrow, he's back. Everybody's worried about him. I know, like I said, I know a couple people that had him and were worried. He's back, man. 25 fantasy points. Joe Mixon, I just think these older running backs, older, but he's only been in the league probably 6 years. These these older running backs are wearing down. It just seems like, like Joe Mixon's just wearing. He's not like a bell cow no more. He needs somebody else
No.
behind him. He don't have Bernard no more. He doesn't have Perrine no more. He needs another guy behind him to switch with them. And these guys,
Yep.
I mean, it's a 2 running back league. I mean, look at Tony Pollard, garbage without Zeke. He needs
Yep.
another running back. So T. Higgins, 22 fantasy points, and Drew Sample, 12, and Irv Smith Jr., 11. Yeah, man, the Bengals are a real deal, man. They're coming back. The Bills the Bills are gonna. I don't know. They're not. There's just something there. Something's. If they do not do anything this year, big playoff run or Super Bowl, I wouldn't be surprised if Diggs is gone next year.
Yeah, that could be. And you've been saying it all year that just something ain't right in Buffalo. You've been saying that all year. And you're right, man. There's just something, they're missing something. And I don't know. We thought that it could be another receiver. I mean, where the hell was Gabe Davis in this game? He had
He
2
got me.
targets, bro. No
Yeah, talking
reception.
about Diggs, he got me. I need 39 yards. Really?
Yeah, you got
Fuck.
nothing out of this guy. And I just got done saying, I think last week or the week before, that the Bills never go through their tight end, so we can't expect it. But the last couple of weeks, man, we thought they drafted Dalton Kincaid to be their third target, their third option, and he's starting to look like it. The kid's good, and he's Dawson Knox, man, may be out of a job. He may be relegated to coming off the bench or blocking, because Kincaid has really looked good, like you said, 10 for 81 with 11 targets. Yeah. Kincaid's definitely a guy you can plug in at least right now in this little window as your tight end one, and just see what happens, because they have no other than Diggs. No one else is showing up, and Allen's doing everything he can. So yeah, good game. You're right. Cincinnati is really rolling right now, and they're starting to look good. That Joe Burrow is back. And then our final game was the Monday night game, and it was the Chargers and the Jets. And I'll be honest with you, I wasn't too excited about this game, and I didn't get to see the whole game. I just saw some of the game. And I'm kind of glad that I didn't waste 3 hours of my life watching this game last night. But Herbert didn't look too good, but he shouldn't have looked good against that defense. He shouldn't have had a great game against it. So 16 for 30 for 136 yards. No, but what surprised me is the no touchdowns from Herbert. He still has receivers. He still got Eckler. Eckler got in the end zone twice, 14 carries for 47 yards, 2 touchdowns. Keenan Allen, 8 receptions for 77 yards. Keenan started off the season really hot, then cooled down, and now is heating up again. On the other side, Zach Wilson, man, I mean, I don't know what you expect out of this kid. 33 for 49, 263 yards, no touchdowns. Brees Hall. I had him. I just knew, because Brees could get 55 yards in a single carry, in a touch. So I'm like, 55 yards on Prize Picks, 55.5 yards. He needs 56 yards. That's it. He gets 50, and then they just stop giving him the damn ball. Just give him the ball 2 more times. Give him 18, 20 carries. See what this kid can do. Salah's an idiot, bro, on offense. He don't know what the hell's going on. He's lucky his defense is decent. It's not even elite anymore. We thought it was going to be elite this year. It's a good defense, but it's not elite. And so Hall kills me, 16 for 50. And Garrett Wilson is showing why he is an elite receiver. Through all this bullshit, he's still putting up decent numbers. 7 receptions, 80 yards. He's not getting in the end zone because his quarterback play is bad. But Garrett Wilson is still an elite wide receiver, which warranted his draft pick. They're picking him up, third round? They're looking at Garrett Wilson about the third round this year for fantasy. And, even without Aaron Rodgers, he's still proven that he's going to get you points each week. And Alan Lazard, yeah, he's washed. I mean, come on, 2 for 18. But what was your take?
Yeah, if you really look at this roster, I mean, there's only a couple big players on offense. I mean, even if Aaron Rodgers was on the team, it'd be Aaron Rodgers, Brees Hall, and Garrett Wilson. Lazard, even with Rodgers, I know that Rodgers does make guys better, but I mean, they don't really have a talented offense roster. They don't. They don't. Zach Wilson, I mean, I don't know, 3 fumbles. He didn't fumble 3 times, but they fumbled 3 times yesterday. Garrett Wilson had a fumble. Zach Wilson didn't. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. 263 yards. Brees Hall, yeah, I had the over 80 yards receiving yards and rushing. He only had 10 receiving yards. 50. I mean, come on, man. The Chargers are not a number 1 defense. Chargers are not a number 5
No,
defense. The
no,
Chargers are
they're a
not a number
bad
10
defense.
defense. The Chargers had 8 sacks yesterday. 8 sacks in New York. Okay. And now all of a sudden the Chargers are going to show something. I want to see the Chargers play a tough team because Chargers do win. Then, okay, we'll see. We'll see Staley. We'll see if Brandon Staley got his head out of his ass. But Zach Wilson, 9 fantasy points. Brees Hall, 10. Yeah, Brees Hall screwed me too, man. Garrett Wilson, 14. He's doing as much as he can. Tyler Conklin, he's staying consistent as a tight end. If you don't have a tight end scoring you more than 10, try Conklin. Conklin's not doing too bad. Yeah, Justin Herbert, he didn't have to do anything. He didn't have to throw for 300 yards. He didn't have to throw for 2 touchdowns because look, they still won. They won 27-6. He didn't have to. His defense scored 27 fantasy points. Gerald Everett, 3. Yeah, Donald Parham shit the bed for me too. Yeah, thanks. I needed over 15 yards. The guy's been getting 20 every game. Quentin Johnson, shit. Keenan Allen, 15 fantasy points. Austin Eckler got 21. Chargers didn't have to do good on offense because they didn't. It shows. Eckler did all right. Jets defense, I thought, yeah, they held Herbert and all that, but yeah, I don't know, man. I thought it would have been the Zach Wilson. I mean, I don't know. You look at it, 263 yards. I mean, that's not too bad, but it's just tough for the Jets. They were hoping they would win a couple games because then Aaron Rodgers would come and save the playoff hopes, but I don't know. Jets are in trouble.
Yeah, I agree, man. The Jets are in trouble. But Aaron Rodgers, man, he says he's coming back. Bro, if
That's
Aaron
crazy.
Rodgers comes back in 3
Yeah,
weeks,
but you know
bro,
what though?
and they can keep this competitive,
Hey,
that the old man, that I'll never talk shit about Rodgers again. Just coming back from that injury is all I'm saying in the same season, which is unheard of, right?
yeah, but the thing is, you have to be strong in that
Yeah.
area. Your calves, your everything. Look at Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant had that calf strain, and they thought he was better to play, and it was just weak
Yep.
down there, and he tore his Achilles. I know Aaron Rodgers already tore his Achilles, but if he's weak down there,
Or
he's
something
going to tear
else.
it again. So
Yep.
I wouldn't mean play him. I wouldn't mean play him, man. It's over with. If the Jets lose 2 more in a row
Yeah.
or 3, it's over with.
And
not
it's
gonna get
hard to
playoffs.
deny Aaron, though. If he says he's good and the doctor says he's good, they're going to run him out there because that's money. They're filling seats, they're selling merch, they're the buzz back in New York. I'd love to see it this year. I'm not gonna lie, just to see, what he can do.
Oh, I would too.
But
I
you're
would too.
absolutely right.
I would too.
When he comes back too early, they can lose him forever. If they play their cards right, they at least have him next year and see what, but he's a year older. So I don't know. I don't know. But the Jets do have a lot to think about. They should have did something though at that quarterback position. It just waiting for Aaron because they knew Aaron would be the one anyway when he got back. So it's whatever. So that is the week 9 recap. We brought you through everything. It's been a crazy season so far. Teams that we think should be number 1 aren't, and teams that we think should be, on the bottom are, and fantasy players that we think, we we drafted in the second round are actually RB18, and some in there in the 20s and other, depending on your scoring for your particular league. It's just been a crazy, crazy year. The highest powered offense in the league only scores 14 points in Germany. You know what I'm saying? So, once again, week 9 has proven that it's difficult to win at fantasy this year, but it is possible. Just stick with it, stay focused, really watch your matchups, and you have to watch your trends, see what players are trending which way. I'm Lonnie. He is Jake. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you on the next one.